Today in our 12th standard physics, the class number 14 will teach you about the lesson magnetism and magnetic effects of electric current, and in this class we are going to learn about a very important question named cyclotron, and the second one, force on a current carrying conductor which is placed in a magnetic field. First of all, let's see about the cyclotron. Cyclotron is a device used to accelerate the charged particles to gain large kinetic energy. It is also called as high energy accelerator. It was invented by Lorentz and Livingston in the year 1934. This is the device cyclotron. First of all, let's see the principle of this cyclotron. When a charged particle moves perpendicular to the magnetic field, here you can see the charged particle is moved perpendicular to the magnetic field, it experiences a Lorentz force, which you know in the last class about this Lorentz force. Now let's move to the construction of the cyclotron. Students, you can see the plan diagram of a cyclotron here. This is the plan diagram of the cyclotron. The particles are allowed to move in between the two semicircular metal plates. These are the two semicircular metal plates, and these metal containers are called as Ds, hollow D-shaped objects. These Ds are surrounded in an evacuated chamber. Okay, they are surrounded by a evacuated chamber. These Ds are kept in a region with uniform magnetic field controlled by an electromagnet, which is controlled by an electromagnet. The direction of the magnetic field is normal to the plane of the Ds. The direction of the magnetic field is normal to the plane of the Ds. Here you see the two Ds, here one D1 and another one D2, are kept separated with a gap. This is the gap between D1 and D2. The source S, which emits the particle to be accelerated, is here. The source is here, and the source is placed at the center in the gap between these two Ds. The Ds are connected to high frequency alternating potential difference. Okay, high frequency potential difference. Here you can read the high frequency accelerating voltage. Now let's move to the working of the cyclotron. Let us assume that the ion ejected from the source S is positively charged. Okay, when we open this high frequency accelerating voltage on, you can receive some ions from this source. Let the ions ejected from this source S be positively charged. As soon as ion is ejected from the source, it is accelerated towards the Ds. That means the D1. It accelerated towards the D1, which has a negative potential at that time. Okay, initially the D1 will have a negative potential. Since the magnetic field is normal to the plane of the Ds, the ion moves in a circular path. Because the magnetic field is normal to the plane of the Ds, the ions moves in a circular path. After one semicircular path inside the D, that means if it starts from the source and after a one semicircular path, the ion reaches the gap between the Ds here. At the time, the polarities of the Ds are reversed, so that the ion is now accelerated towards D with a greater velocity. The polarities will be changed, so it travels from D1 to D2, and the positively charged ion will move in a circular path in this manner in between the D1 and D2. For this circular motion, the centripetal force of the charged particle Q is provided by the Lorentz force, which is mv square divided by r, which is equal to qvb, which we received this term from the Lorentz force. If you want to take r separated, that means the radius, then you can put this qvb, which is down under this mv square, and you can cancel the v on the both sides. So you get r is equal to m by qb into v, that is r is proportional to v. Let us take this as equation number 1. Remember students, from equation 1 we infer that the increase in velocity increases the radius of the circular path. Okay, so the circular path of the radius will be increased by time to time. This process continues, and hence the particle moves in a spiral path of increasing radius. Once it reaches the edges, it is taken out with the help of the deflector plate and allowed to hit the target T, which is here. The target T is here, and it is allowed to hit the target T. The important condition in the cyclotron operation is when the frequency f at which the positive ion circulates in the magnetic field must be equal to the constant frequency of the electrical oscillator, that means f oscillation, and this is called, or this condition is called, the resonance condition. As from the equation, which is f frequency is equal to qb by 2 pi m, and from this equation we have f oscillation is equal to qb divided by 2 pi m. We substitute the frequency oscillation instead of f. Therefore, the time period of the oscillation is T is equal to 2 pi m divided by qb, and from this the kinetic energy of the charged particle is Ke is equal to, remember, the kinetic energy of the charged particle which moves around the D1 and D2 and finally it's the target T is Ke is equal to 1 by 2 mv square, which is equal to, when we substitute the values instead of m and v square, we get q square b square r square divided by 2m. Students, even though the cyclotron is used to get high energy acceleration, or it is worked as a high energy accelerator, this cyclotron has some limitations. Let me explain the limitations of cyclotron. The speed of the ion is limited. Second point, electron cannot be accelerated. Third point, uncharged particles cannot be accelerated using this cyclotron equipment. Next important question is force on a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field. Force on a current carrying conductor placed on a magnetic field. This is a current carrying conductor which is placed in the magnetic field. Students, when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, the force experienced by the conductor is equal to the sum of the Lorentz forces on the individual charge carriers in the conductor, right? Which is equal to the sum of the Lorentz forces on the individual charge carriers in the conductor. Now let's assume that a very small let's take a very small segment of conductor and which have the length dl. The cross sectional area be A and the current be I, as you can see all the things in this area. Now the free electrons drift opposite to the direction of the current. Here you can see the free electron drift opposite to the direction of the current. So the relation between current I and the magnitude of the drift velocity Vd, which we get this point from the unit number 2, current electricity, and it is I is equal to NeAVd. Here Vd refers the drift velocity. Here you can see the free electrons drift opposite to the direction of the current. Okay, they are opposite to the direction of the current. If the conductor is kept in a magnetic field B vector, then average forces experienced by the charge, that means the electron in the conductor is F is equal to minus E Vd into B vector. F is equal to, that means the force is equal to minus E Vd, which refers the drift velocity, and B vector, which refers the magnetic field. Here, if small n is the number of free electrons which is present in the unit volume, then small n is equal to capital N divided by V. What do you mean by the capital N? It is the number of free electrons in the small element of the volume V, and V is equal to AdL. Hence, Lorentz force on the elementary section of the length dl is the product of the number of the electrons. Then N is equal to NaDl, and the force acting on the each electron. Here the force is acting on the each electron. Therefore, the force F is equal to minus E into N AdL into Vd into B vector. Vd vector into B vector. Therefore, the current element in the conductor is IDL is equal to minus En AVDL minus En AVDL. We substitute this value from the current element in the conductor. Therefore, the force on the small elemental section of the current carrying conductor. Now we are going to find the force on the small elemental section of the current carrying conductor, and it may be d derivative of F vector is equal to IDL into B. IDL into B. Already we saw the value of IDL and we substitute that here in magnitude, and thus the force on a straight current carrying conductor of length L placed in a uniform magnetic field is F total is equal to IL into B. F total is equal to IL into B. Thus, the magnitude is equal to F total is equal to BIL sin theta. You can multiply this BIL into sin theta. While taking this vector, you put the angle here. Students, there are some conditions. If the conductor is placed along the direction of the magnetic field, then the angle between them is theta is equal to 0 degree, and hence the force experienced by the conductor is 0. If the conductor is placed perpendicular to the magnetic field, then the angle, that means the theta is equal to 90 degree. Hence, the force experienced by the conductor is maximum, and which is F total is equal to BIL. With all this, finally we receive the F total, and which is equal to BIL. Thank you, students.